Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Joe. Today I want to go over some tips with you for building a rack. I've built a couple racks myself and learned a little bit along the way and found what works and what doesn't, and just wanted to pass some tips on to you. So why don't we take a look at those tips now. Okay, tubs. So when you go to buy tubs for your rack that you built, you're going to have a lot of options. You can go to Freedom Breeder, you can go to Vision Tubs, you can go to Reptile Basics, or you can go to Target and Walmart and save some money. When I built my rack, I went to Target and I went to Walmart and I checked them out, and they were significantly cheaper than if you went to Freedom Breeder or Vision or Reptile Basics. And now, you will save money if you do that. You just got to keep in mind that the tubs that they sell at Walmart and Target are made for storing clothing. They're not made for reptile racks. So if you go to Vision and you go to Freedom Breeder, you're going to pay more money for those tubs. However, those tubs are made for reptiles. They have flat bottoms that will not scrape your heat tape, and they're more rigid. They're made of thicker plastics. When I priced them and compared them to what was at Walmart, the pricing for the tubs from Freedom Breeder, from Vision, from Reptile Basics, they were significantly more than if you just go to Walmart or Target. So I decided to go to Walmart, and I bought these tubs here, and these come in a 2-pack, 2 for $8, where the same size tub at Freedom Breeder was $11 per tub. At Vision and Reptile Basics, they were like $14, $18 per tub, and so it was a money saver to go to Walmart. Now, if you go to Walmart and you buy your tubs, these will work just fine. Just keep in mind, they do make them with softer plastic, so your sides here are going to flex. Now, the reason that's something to watch out for is that the longer the tub you buy, the more flex you're going to have in your sides, and that could lead to a snake escaping if you build if you're building a rack that does not have sides. The snake can push on the tub and end up crawling out, and so that's something to be mindful of. So when I built my racks, I built them with walls on the sides of the tub, so that if the snake does press on the side, it's going to hit a wall, so it's not going to be able to flex that tub. So one thing else that you should look at is the bottom of the tub. Some of those tubs have a sharp line on the bottom, and it's sort of like a raised border that goes around the tub, and it's pretty sharp, and it's hard. And as you open and close your tubs, if that's rubbing on your heat tape, it's going to wear off the plastic on your heat tape, expose your wires, and the next thing you know, you're going to have hot reptiles or even a fire. So if you're going to Target or you're going to Walmart, look for tubs like this that have a rounded bottom here. This one, is raised. They're all raised for some reason. I don't know why they don't make them flat, but they're all raised. I think it's because they are stackable, so that they add that lip there to make them stackable. But they do have them where they're rounded, and that's what I bought. And if this was to hit your heat tape, it's not going to wear down a plastic because it's curved, so it's not going to scrape when it does that. I didn't really have to worry because I recessed my heat tape, and I'm going to show you how to do that too in one of my tips that I mentioned. But just keep that in mind in case you're not recessing your heat tape and you're buying a tub from Walmart or Target. Get one with a curved bottom. When making air holes in your tubs, you want to use a soldering iron if you have one. If you don't have one, it's worth it to buy one off of Amazon. I think they even sell them at Ace Hardware or Lowe's or Home Depot, some craft stores, but they're pretty inexpensive, and it's definitely worth it to have one if you're going to be building your own tubs. Most people want to take a drill and drill holes into their tubs, but the problem with that is it breaks the plastic. It can crack, and the way they remedy that is they take a block of wood and they put it on the other side of the plastic from which they're drilling, and that helps prevent it from cracking. But still, when you drill, you leave sharp edges when you make the holes that the snakes can scratch their face on. Using a soldering iron, because it's hot, it melts through the plastic and cauterizes the edges as it's going through, and it makes a nice clean hole, as you can see here. There's no sharp edges for the snakes to scratch their face on. When you're working with large sheets of plywood or PVC, it's a lot easier to cut and route when you use a straight edge. When you use a table saw, you have to wrestle with the piece and you're bringing the piece to the table saw, but when you have a straight edge, you're bringing the saw to the piece and you're only having to maneuver the saw, and it makes cutting a lot easier, especially if you're working alone. So I recommend getting a straight edge, and it works really, really well for routing too. It helps you keep a straight line when you're routing. The one I'm using here is made by Husky, and it's sold at Home Depot. You want to label your pieces, all your cut lines, because it's very easy to draw a line and then cut on the wrong side of the line. And I've done that plenty of times. So it's nice to mark your pieces with an arrow so that you know which side to cut. It's also nice to mark them front, back, so you know how the pieces are going to go together. And it's good to put your measurements on there. If you have different measurements, you'll know which piece is which. When you're making your heat tape, you want to recess it. This is the bit you're going to use in your router. This is a 1/2 inch bit. They come in 1 inch, 1/4 inch. I mean, there's many sizes, so you want to get a bit that is going to be good for the width that you're making and the depth that you're making. So what we're cutting here is the channel for the heat tape, and that's going to be 3 1/4 inches wide, and I used a 1/2 inch bit. I felt that worked best for what I was doing. So we're using 4-inch heat tape. That's why I was cutting it 3 1/4 inches wide. So this is the channel here. That's the channel when it's finished. And the reason we're cutting it 3 1/4 inches wide is because we want just the heat part of the tape to show, and we want a 1/2 inch on either side for the tape to go under. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. This is a nice routed edge right here. It's about 1/4 inch deep. These are 1/2 inch pieces of plywood, so you don't want to go too deep. So now we're going to take what's called a wing bit. This here is a wing bit. I bought this on Amazon. There's different types. This one will go underneath what we just routed, a 1/2 inch on either side. This is nice and flat, so you can put it right up against the piece. And there's a little guide there, that silver cylinder right there. That's a guide to help guide your bit. So what you want to do is you want to put it in your router, and then you want to set the plunge, and you're just going to press it flush against the channel that you've just routed out. Then you're going to route underneath. You're going to push it all the way to the side, and you're going to route underneath and create a channel on the right and the left sides, just like that. And that's what your heat tape is going to slide into. And you'll see here you got the white parts on the side that don't have heat. That's what's going underneath there. So you'll see that both copper lines and the black bars are showing, so you're getting all your heat. Okay, so when you're building your rack, when you're routing your channels through to do the heat tape, you're going to want to go all the way across the board, because the heat tape's going to come up from the side, from the level beneath, and it's going to come over the top, slide through the channel and go all the way through, then go up a level, and you're going to snake it through, and you're going to keep doing that. So whenever you're making the channels, they're going to go all the way from the right side to the left side. You're going to have that groove there. However, for the very bottom shelf, the flooring of your rack, you don't want to go all the way through. You want to stop about a ½ inch from the sides, because what's going to happen is you're going to be putting the side walls onto the base here, and if you route a channel all the way through to the side, when you put that wall here and you connect the two pieces, you'll have a space showing, and you don't want that space to be there. So you want to stop at about a ½ inch or so, because that's the width of the material. So you want to stop a ½ inch on the right side and a ½ inch on the left side. And on one of those sides, you're going to want to route a little groove in there so you can start your heat tape. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about now. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to route on the right and the left to create a little groove on each side, and that's going to create a slot for you to take your heat tape and slide it through. Just feed your heat tape through that slot and then just slide it through all the way till it stops. You'll want to create slots on the edges of your shelves where you made the channels, and to do that, all you're going to do is take your router and just nick where you cut with the wing bit, and that'll create about a ½ inch gap. And then you're going to take a sander and you're just going to sand that area on the side of the shelves where the channels are, and that just makes a nice clean non-sharp edge groove to slide your heat tape through from level to level. So as you can see, using this method, the tub rests above the heat tape. There's about a ½ inch space between the bottom of the tub and the top of the heat tape, so your tubs never scrape the heat tape. It's a lot safer this way, because that's what causes fires, is as people pull out their tubs and push them back in, the bottom of the tub scrape the top of the heat tape, which eventually wears off the plastic and exposes the wires, and that causes fires. But you can see here, the tub never touches the heat tape. Another nice thing about this method is by using the channels, you don't have to use staples or tape to hold down the heat tape, which is nice because eventually the glue on the tape usually comes off and you have to replace that after a few years. With this method, you never have to worry about that. You can see here on the sides, from going from the bottom level to the top level, by creating those grooves, it pins the tape against the sides there. So it's really nice. You don't need any type of adhesive to hold the tape there. The heat tape just rests right against the side. Okay, if you take anything away from these tips, oh my God, take this away. When you work with PVC, it is messy. I mean, these little plastic shavings, they're like stickers. They stick to everything. They stuck to my washing machine, my dryer, my floor, my clothes, my shoes. I wish I could have worked outside, but there were heavy rains going on when I was building this, so I had to work inside. Do yourself a favor, work outside if you can. Thank you for watching the tips. I hope that you found something that'll help you in your build whenever you build a rack. And if you have any questions, just post them below and I'll do what I can to answer them. Thank you for watching.